morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is in your world. We're going to do a quick stretchy nap here. I promised a few people I'd put a new one up for you because it's been a little while, so make sure you're comfy, cozy. When it comes to props, use whatever you've got around. This is honestly just a couch cushion off of my couch here. So, and then I just have another little pillow, and you can have more than that. You could have several little things if you need a blanket. All the props are welcome and are certainly optional as well. So use them when you like them. If you don't, it's okay to just do all of these postures on your own as well. But I will say that when it comes to restorative yoga, using props is really a treat. It's just a nice way to get your body to truly relax so that you're not tempted to try to work really hard, because that's the opposite of what we want to do. In restorative yoga, we're going to try to see if we can get ourselves to the same place mentally and physically by not putting forth so much effort. So find and gather what you need, and then we're going to start out this practice on our backs this morning, and just a supported fish pose. So I don't have a ton of space around me, but that's okay. You can really do this pretty much anywhere as long as you've got enough room to get your mat rolled out. I'm going to put that big pillow behind me, or that big sort of bolster, and then I'm going to use a small one here, and it's just going to go right underneath the back side of the legs. Now, if you wanted to put your feet together, make a Baddha Konasana, or do some other shape here, that's fine too, but it might feel good at first just to let everything be loose and relaxed. Good. Bolster behind you is right snug up to the base of your spine, and then we're going to go ahead and lie down. I'm just having my morning coffee, so don't mind me. All the way down onto your back. And that bolster behind you is going to keep your chest elevated here, and that's what we're looking for. Get the heart center up off the ground, and your arms will just relax down from your sides. And then you can begin to slow down your breathing. Slow down your mind and just allow the thoughts of your day to begin passing you by. Whatever it is that's on your mind. See if you can just offer it up for a little while. Clear some space in your brain so that you can focus on being right here, present, mindful and aware. And so that you can focus on your breath. That's going to be our one and only real focal point throughout the rest of the practice, is just finding a smooth and steady breath to rely on. And pay attention to how you feel when you start to breathe deeper. So continue to stay right where you're at. Don't move a muscle. Just keep focusing on your breathing. I'm just going to turn my radio down a little so that... There we go. Don't want to lose a whole video because there's music in the background. All right, so here we are, relaxed. Go ahead and take your hands, just rest them up on your belly. Maybe you've already got them there. And then the sound and the feel of your breath continues to move you deeper into a place of meditation and relaxation. And you can start to feel the physical connection. You can feel the chest and the belly rise and fall. Good. Keep that breath moving. We're going to stay for about another minute or so, maybe two, right here. Nowhere else to be. Nothing else to do. Each breath that you take in, just imagine filling up your body from your head to your toes. And with fresh oxygen, fresh prana, new energy moving in, and on the exhalation, let go of all that stale old breath in your body that's just hanging around. Let go of any toxin, let go of anything that just is no longer serving you here. Maybe there's just a stubborn thought in your mind that's been with you all week. Now's the time to make a conscious effort to let it go. One more full breath in. And an exhale. Send another breath down to your toes and then let them just begin to wiggle. Same with the fingertips. And point and flex your feet a few times. Open and close the palms of your hands. Try stretching your toes and your fingers as wide apart as you can so you feel all those little webbings between the fingers and the toes get a stretch. And then relax. Do that one more time. Stretch your toes and fingers as far apart as you can. It's a little bit intense. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then relax. Feel the difference. Roll the ankles and the wrists. Take it around. Switch direction. Maybe once or twice. All right. And then gently add a bend into your knees. And you're just going to let yourself roll over to one side. Come right off that bolster behind you. Curl up for a moment. And ever so gently help yourself up and around. We'll come to a seat. So yeah, when we do a stretchy nap like this, you sometimes just have to trust that there might not be much going on for a while. I might not say anything for a little bit, and it's okay. That's just me giving you some space to get quiet in your mind. You know, it's really hard to take a restorative or relaxation class when someone's talking to you the whole time. I find it hard to relax, right? Because if you're constantly getting information, your brain wants to process that. And so having some spaces, some moments in the practice where there's just absolute quiet is really beneficial. So come join me here. I'm just stretching forward. I haven't taken this bolster out from underneath my legs yet. It's there to keep a little bit of softness behind the knees so that I don't go too far into the hamstrings. And if you can't get your toes, no problem. You just put your hands as far down your legs as you can comfortably go and take a few moments to just stretch out your back. Let your head drop heavy. Maybe roll out your neck a little bit here. Loosen everything up. All right, and then come on up. And we'll pull this little guy out from underneath, or whatever you had happening there. And we're going to go into a posture for the hips and the low back called pinwheel pose. This one's for my friend Dana, who requested this one in particular. And so you're going to need your big bolster. Now, if you don't have something like this, you can do this pose down on the ground. It's okay. You don't need anything under you. But even if you have just a little stack of blankets or a small pillow would work here as well. If you have something bigger, it's a little more comfortable that way. So here's what we're going to do. I'll show you the legs first. You're just going to swing one leg behind you and the other one in front. So this front leg here is going to stay kind of in a pigeon position, shin across your mat. Yeah. And then the back knee, as far back as you want to move that leg is up to you, but things will get really tense in here along your hip flexors and your groin. So it doesn't, have to be intense, right? That's the whole point of doing restorative yoga. You find a comfortable position in your legs, and then you're going to put your bolster. Now, I'm going to turn to the side, but you can do this just right out the side of your mat here. I just don't have enough room where I am. So I'll turn to the side a little bit. So right against this front hip is where you're going to pull that big bolster. And maybe you even want to get like a couple things stacked up, depending on how much you're going to need here. And you'll know in a moment, because you're going to rotate forward and try to bring all of your chest and belly down on whatever you've got. And if you're just going down to the ground, you can do that as well. You're probably going to cactus your arms out and then bring one ear down to the ground. If you look away from your legs, that's going to be more intense stretch for your neck. If you look the same direction of your legs, a little bit less intense, right? So find what you need. Another trick to do here is to put something under this end, and then it kind of brings your chest up a little bit, if that feels better to you, right? And then we've just got that little pinwheel shape of the legs behind us. Right away, you'll feel some sensation in the low back, and that will open up for you eventually as things start to loosen. So close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and then relax. Just imagine your muscles melting right off your bones. Nothing to hold on to, nothing to hold back from. Relax the muscles of your face in particular, your jaw, your forehead, your cheekbones. And then we're just going to stay right here for a couple minutes on each side, so relax and breathe. If at any point you feel like you need to rearrange your legs a little bit, feel free to do so. But just make sure that it's because you really do want to adjust your posture and not because you're just bored and want to fidget, right? Try to stay in that place of stillness as often as you can. Every now and again, just make sure that you're not clenching your teeth, pushing your tongue up into the roof of your mouth, tightening up your glutes. Just let those places go. Let them relax. And for those of you who do like a little bit more of an intense stretch, your bottom leg, the one that you're sitting on basically or laying on, if you want to extend that leg, kick it out to the side. I don't really have enough room to do that right here, but you can kick it straight out and then you'll lay right on your IT band. And again, that's just an option, but you can get some good compression release feeling there. I'm going to do about 1 more minute in this pose. If you'd like to try maybe turning your head to the other side, you'll probably definitely notice that you've got one direction that's generally a little bit tougher for you to do. Now, don't let it bring a bunch of tension into your body. If it's just a nuisance, it's just a distraction, then skip it and go back to the original side, or maybe just want to take your forehead down. Okay, slowly turn your head back to a neutral position. Hands can come back alongside. You're just going to press yourself up. Wait there for a breath. Just get your low back to loosen up from being in that position. And then you can let the whole pose go. If you want to swing your entire bolster thing to the other side, if you're going out the side of your mat, you can do that. Or the easiest way to change position is to leave all of this around and just turn yourself. So you can just pick up your hips, spin them the other way. If you're a down dog person and you want to do a down dog there for a breath in between sides, I recommend it. It would probably feel great just to get a little spinal lengthener in. And then here we are. Same thing. Now I've just got my opposite knee in front. Same pinwheel shape with the legs. So again, just looks like this, right? One shin. And you can go out the side of your mat, or you can do what I did and kind of pivot around. And then here you go. Right on outside edge of your hip. When you come forward, it should feel like you really have to twist your spine, right? I mean, in your low back, there's going to be a definite twisting sensation. So if that's not happening, you need to move your bolster further around to the side, or you need to readjust your legs a little bit. Maybe kick that top leg back a bit further, and then there you go. Right back down. Now, see on this side, for me, I think I need to go a little bit lower. So I might not need all of my props. And that's going to be pretty common for most of us. One side is going to be a little different than the other. You just modify accordingly. And then breathe, smooth and steady, in and out. Pay attention to the rise and fall of your back here. Stay right where you're at. Just once again, gonna make a little. Every once in a while, you're just checking in. Make sure that you're still letting go, not holding on. Breath is still steady. If you want to turn your head the other way for this last minute or so, feel free to do it right now. If you did kick that bottom leg out on the first side, maybe try the same variation here just to keep things evened out, laying on the outer seam of the leg, or again, right along the IT band. There can be some intensity there, so it's up to you whether or not you want that. Like I always say, right, life is intense enough already. So you don't need your yoga practice to be a source of intensity for you as well. It should bring you some relief. And sometimes a little intensity is a good thing when we practice, but when it comes to a restorative meditation practice, a mindfulness practice, that's not what we're looking for. We're trying to get back into that mind frame, headspace of feeling like it's okay to let your guard down a little bit. And just simply relax. Take about 5 more breaths right here. Put a gentle, content smile on your face. It just helps you relax even more. All right, and then anytime you're ready, you just start to softly press up. Do any release moves here that feel good to you. I'm going to rock back, get off of that hip a little bit before you unwind. And then same thing, if you want to take a downward facing dog right here, you put your hands down, stretch back to down dog. Otherwise, I'm just going to come around to a seat. All right, same thing we did after our first pose, stretching the legs out. And maybe this time you don't need anything under the backs of the legs, but if you do, grab a little pillow, put it right underneath it there. Good. And just coming forward. This one is really just a spinal reset, so I won't be here very long. Okay, I'm going to come on up. We're going to do 2 more postures today, and then we'll take our final Shavasana for some rest. Next pose, Baddha Konasana. And instead of doing this posture, this is the shape, by the way, of Baddha Konasana. The bottoms of the feet are together, the knees are open. Usually we keep the feet on the ground and we put stuff in here that we can lean on. But today we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to put our feet up on top of something. So the big bolster again will work, and you can really just get it in there. It'll hold all of your legs, everything that you need, right? And then you can still use a little something smaller up here, but this is just a really nice way to stretch your low back. So feet up on something if you've got it. If you don't have these types of things, a little stack of books with a blanket over the top, or anything that can get your feet elevated here. Again, if you want to do this just on the ground, that's okay, but I highly recommend adding some props. And then I'm going to let my elbows come out in front of my shins, and I just like to hold on to my feet. You can drape the arms, you can keep them back here. Really doesn't matter. As long as your shoulders can relax and you've got some roundness all the way through the spine. So from the cervical spine down to the sacral, I just want to make a nice big rounded shape there. And if your head can't relax down, then stack up your hands and let your head rest there. When you've got the shape of the pose that you're looking for, there we go, then just release. No tension again. Try not to hang on. Focus on letting go. And one last variation here, if you need, I often like this one as well, is just to rest your head in your hands. Having a little pressure on your forehead, especially the space right above your eyebrows, sometimes feels great. And you can use your thumbs, wrap those around to put a little pressure right above your ears, on your temples. Try to let your head relax as much as possible. Just keep returning to letting go the corners of the eyes, the corners of the mouth. Unclench the teeth. So just know that as you're watching these videos, if you really wanted to do like a longer version of this class, you can always just hit pause and, set your own little timer and stay in the postures for 5, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, however long you want to stay. Oftentimes I'm just working with a time constraint when we're filming, so that's why we don't stay quite as long, but you are always welcome to dictate the length of your own class. One more minute here. Start to roll that neck around a little bit. And then gradually come on up. Oh. Rock back so that you can straighten your legs. Once again, you can leave them up on top of your bolster and just stretch out. Okay. And then we're going to finish up with a hip stretch in a forward position. The more intense version of this pose is called prone frog, and it's a pretty big hip stretch. Some people either love it or they hate it. You'll find out what you think here in a moment, but I am going to give the option today to do a modified version as well, which would just be one leg at a time. So to do the full prone frog version, what you're going to do is, and this one, some people really just need extra padding under their knees, but you're going to basically flip your feet out like little frog legs. Can you see how my foot is positioned there? Now, if right away you know that, like, oh God, no, that's not going to work for me, then just hang on and I'll show you the modification. If you do want to do the frog, and I'm going to turn this way now, just again for space. So I've got my knees out wide, and you could slide a little, blanket or or pillow or something under those knees if you need it, or just fold the edge of your mat in there. And then see my foot out there. There it is. It's like a little frog leg on each side. So you really in there just like a frog. And then come on down and you sink your hips back, and you basically really do want to have something underneath of you in this pose if at all possible, so that you can lay on your bolster. You've got two little frog feet out behind you, and that's that. And try not to tense up along the inner creases of your hips. The other way, which is just a little bit more comfortable for most people, is to just do one leg at a time. So I'm still going to come down on my bolster, and then I'm just going to hike this side up. See it right there? And I've just got one little frog leg going. And then you can relax. Or this one sometimes feels better without anything underneath of you. Just all the way down on the ground. Another place to put something would be right here, kind of underneath your low belly and your hip that's open, if you needed a little bit of support. So right in that little space that's popping up off the mat. Otherwise, if you feel pretty good, then just breathe. Now, those of you in the full position, we're going to be there a while. So probably about 5 minutes total in this pose. When we get about 2.5 minutes through, if you're doing one leg, we'll switch. So get into a comfortable spot, and then exhale. Just try to relax. Try to let yourself be a little heavier. This is yet again another great pose to just focus on that feeling of the back rising and falling, the belly expanding, contracting. Okay, switch sides if you need to. Those of you who are up in that full frog, if you want to just kind of push back into a little bit of a child's pose, or you need to just lift up for a minute, get off your knees for a second, and then come back in, do what you need to do here. There we go. Get yourself situated. If you're in the single-legged version, make sure your foot is kicked out a little, and it's not like tree pose. You want your foot out and away from your opposite inner thigh, so that's where you're going to get the hip opening part, right? Especially along the inner crease. So we're talking about hip flexors, inside crease of the hip, all the way down the inner thigh. And then there's some good release for the low back, the low belly, a little bit of psoas in there. But you have to let everything really be heavy. And don't hold back. Just, let gravity and breath do the hard work for you here. All right. About 2.5 minutes right there. Continue to pay attention to your breath. Probably about 5 more full cycles through inhales and exhales. And then wherever you are, if you're in that full frog, you're probably going to swing your big toes together first and then release. That way you won't have so much pressure on your knees and hips as you try to get out. If you're with me down here, we're just going to stretch both legs out behind, maybe rock a little bit through the hips. And slide your hands in underneath of you. And press up and back to child's pose. And then come on up. All right. So at this point, we're going to set up for Shavasana. I'm going to get you set up, and then you're going to just relax on your own for as long as you would like. So once we get into the posture, I will let you go from there. I highly recommend that you stay in Shavasana for at least 5 minutes. If you have the time, stay for 10, stay for 20, however long you'd like. I'm going to do mine with my bolster behind my back again, kind of how we started. And just let my legs relax out front. Come on back, but you can just lie down flat. This is a good time as well if you have a blanket to just throw a little blanket on. Sometimes I like to cross my ankles. Oh, you guys get to see how dirty my feet are. Cross my ankles and just kind of, so that it feels like I'm just lounging. It's kind of a familiar shape for the body. But you can do anything you want to do here. If you're nearby a wall and you'd like to do legs up the wall for your Shavasana, that's always a really nice treat to get your booty up against the floorboard and then throw the legs up the wall. All kinds of different options for Shavasana. So get yourself comfortable, cozy, and then enjoy. And I will leave you right there with that and hope that you're feeling a little bit better than you did when you got on the mat this morning. That's really the only goal, right? Is to feel a little better when we get off the mat than we did when we got on. So thank you for taking care of yourself. Thank you for taking care of your mind and your body, and just taking the time to practice with me. I'm happy and grateful that you're here. We'll be happy and grateful for one another. Have a wonderful, fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon. Namaste.